Welcome, Mr. James. Please take a seat. I believe you're interested in discussing an appropriate business structure for your handyman business. Were you thinking of a sole trader type structure? No? Okay, you were, but now you're interested in a business structure that can accommodate Mr. Smith, who's been helping you with small home repair jobs and now wants to become a partner. Have you had any formal or verbal arrangements in this regard? You have. So you have a verbal agreement in place and prepared a business plan, and you both have purchased some equipment together. What experience do you bring with this type of business? Okay, so neither have owned a business before and you're using funds from your current jobs to fund the initial startup. And have you agreed on the name for the business? Okay, the business is going to be JJ Handyman Services, and all profit, losses and contributions are going to be shared 50-50. Okay, I understand you also would like to expand the business in the future and you want some information on that. Well, I can provide you with two business structures for you to compare, one being the partnership and the other being the private priority company. However, before we identify the two structures, have you considered how any disputes might be managed when operating a business with someone? There are mediation services available in the first instance, which should be supported by a partnership agreement. Having a written agreement in place can mitigate any termination triggers, such as death, retirement, and bankruptcy. Although most handyman businesses are structured for sole trading, this structure would be a disadvantage to you as it would limit your access to resources and limit any company growth options. The partnership option would allow you to share the risks and gains with Mr. Smith. However, I note that you've taken the preliminary steps as preparing a business plan and having purchased equipment does demonstrate you have a business carrying on before opening for trade. Many businesses can fail even at the beginning, illustrating why it is vital in choosing the right partner to go into business and having agreements in writing. Also, partnership relationships carry special duties such as fiduciary duties, which are owed to both parties, and you need to avoid conflicts of interest, have no secret profit making, no competing with the partnership, and no disclosing of any confidential information. You will be required to obtain consent to prevent breaching any of these duties, otherwise the breaching party will be liable to account for any benefit received. Although 10% of handyman companies take up the small priority business structure, you need to know some of the advantages with this type of structure compared to the partnership. With the priority business structure, you have limited liability, it's its own legal entity, capital is easier to raise, it's flexible, it's owned by one or more shareholders, and can be supported by family members. The major disadvantage for sole traders and partnerships is the unlimited liability. Being a small private limited company provides the protection for your personal finances and assets from being liable for company debt. This is something you and Mr. Smith will have to consider when comparing the partnership structure to this structure, including the ability to expand through issuing of shares to gain new shareholders and investors. It is more flexible and allows continuality as ownership can be transferred. One disadvantage with this business structure is that it can involve higher setup and running costs due to compliance with the Corporations Act 2001 through registration and following regulations concerning director duties and company record keeping. I do recommend the priority company as the better option due to the protection offered through limited liability, flexibility, and with the ability to expand. Lastly, can you bring Mr. Smith in so I can obtain his details and to have further discussions on putting together a written agreement around your expenditure to date for protection while you are both making a decision and choosing the best business structure for your handyman business?